Hello and welcome to another edition of Everything's Photography. My name's David and today, well, we're out on location. We're at Cadmin Pool and that's in the New Forest. And I thought what we'd do today is we'd do a few long exposure shots. Now the first thing you do when you come to any location before you start getting any of your camera stuff out is you have a little walk around and try and find some angles. Try and find places to shoot from. And this is it. This is Cadmin Pond. As you can see, there's lots of water. It's a beautiful place. We're out here in the New Forest, so you can have a pan around and you can have a little look. But I quite like this island that's in the middle of the pond, and there's another one there. If you can just see that. Now the trick is, in a place like this, I think, is to find somewhere central. I'm going to find somewhere central, I think, to that island. And then I'm going to try and get my tripod nice and low. Now the problem that I'm facing today, it's really quite windy. And when you do a long exposure shot, what you don't want is you don't want anything shaking the camera at all. But we're going to get the gear out and we're going to see what happens. So the equipment that I'm going to be using, I've got a tiny little tripod here. I don't know if you can see this. Tiny little tripod. It's made by Newer. Well worth the money. I can't remember how much I paid for this, but it wasn't a lot. It's worth going on to Amazon and having a look. What I'll do is underneath the video I'll leave a link to things like this and you can have a look on there yourself. But worth its weight in gold, this little tripod. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to set this tripod up. When you're doing a long exposure shot, it's always not even a choice thing. You have to use a tripod. You just have to. If you want a really good long exposure shot, use a tripod. If you don't, you're just going to get camera shake absolutely everywhere. Now, on a windy day like today, my advice would be to open the tripod so it's quite wide. The reason for that is if it's quite wide, then you've got a really good base. Nice good solid base there. Okay, so camera wise, I'm going to use the Nikon D810. It's my favourite camera. When this camera came out, it literally just blew everybody's minds. Brilliant camera. There are, I guess, better cameras out now, maybe the Nikon D850, but for the sort of thing that I do, Nikon D810 is absolutely perfect. Now, I'm going to try this with various different lenses. I think the first lens I'm going to use is going to be a wide-angled lens, just to get the wideness really, and I'm going to be using the 18 to 35mm Nikon lens. So I'll get that set up and then I'll be back with you again. Okay, well I've got that set up now. I'm going to just flip the camera around and show you what that looks like. So there's my setup, my tiny little tripod set up there, as you can see with the camera. That's the Nikon D810. That background to me. Now the next thing you're going to need, because obviously it's daylight, so the next thing you're going to need is you're going to need a filter. filter. Now, the filter that I'm going to use for this is going to be the ND1000. I'm going to use that because it's going to get rid of all of this daylight, and it's going to enable me to get a good long exposure shot. So I'm going to set that up and then I'll be with you. Okay, well, I've taken some good shots now. The settings that I'm using here in this light is I've got it on 25 seconds for the shutter speed. I've got my aperture on f13. I've got my ISO right down to 100 because I really don't want any noise. And obviously on this video I should be showing you some of the shots that I'll be taking. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a wander around. I'm going to take some shots of the area and hopefully they'll all come out well. I'll see you back in the studio.